Ravi was 25 years old, living in the sprawling city of Mumbai, and weighed down by the relentless pursuit of a job. After graduating with a degree he had once been proud of, the harsh reality of unemployment had gnawed away at his confidence. Day after day, he attended interviews, polished his resume, and sent out applications, only to be met with rejection after rejection. Bills piled up, and the support of his friends began to wane. Even the vibrant city felt gray and lifeless. One evening, exhausted from yet another unsuccessful interview, Ravi wandered aimlessly through a nearby park. He found an empty bench under a canopy of trees and sank into it, burying his face in his hands. His chest felt heavy, and he fought the urge to cry, questioning if he was even worth anything. The once lively park, filled with children's laughter and the chirping of birds, seemed muted to him. "Rough day, son?" A voice broke through his despair. Ravi looked up to see an elderly man sitting at the other end of the bench. The man's face was lined with wrinkles, but his eyes sparkled with warmth and curiosity. He wore a simple white shirt and trousers, and his walking stick rested against the bench. "Rough life," Ravi muttered, shrugging. The old man chuckled softly. "Mind sharing? Sometimes. Saying it out loud helps." Ravi hesitated but felt a strange comfort in the man's presence. "I've been looking for a job for months now," he said. "I've tried everything. Networking, cold calls, interviews. But it's like the world doesn't want me. Everyone says, 'Keep trying.' But how do you keep trying when you're tired of failing?" The old man nodded thoughtfully. "Failures can feel like chains, can't they? Heavy, unrelenting. But do you know what's funny about chains?" "What?" Ravi asked, intrigued despite himself. "They're only as strong as we let them be. Break them, and they're nothing but scraps of metal." Ravi frowned. "That's easy to say, sir. But when you're stuck in the middle of it, it doesn't feel that simple." The old man leaned back, looking up at the evening sky. "Let me tell you a story. Many years ago, I was a young man just like you, ambitious, hopeful, and absolutely broke. I came to this city with a suitcase and a dream, but life had other plans. My first job interview was a disaster. The second, worse. By the time I faced my 10th rejection, I was ready to give up. I was angry, ashamed, and convinced I wasn't good enough." "What changed?" Ravi asked, leaning forward. The old man smiled. "One day I sat on a bench much like this one, wallowing in my misery. An old friend happened to walk by and stop to chat. I told him everything, expecting sympathy. Do you know what he said instead?" "What?" "He laughed and said, 'Congratulations. Now you're one rejection closer to success.'" I was furious at first, but he explained something that stayed with me. He said, "Failures aren't roadblocks, they're stepping stones. Each one teaches you something, if you're willing to learn." That moment changed my perspective. The old man's voice softened. I stopped seeing failure as the end and started treating it as a teacher. I worked harder, smarter, and with more resilience. It took months, years even, but I built a career I'm proud of, and it all started on that bench. Ravi stared at the man, his words igniting a small spark in his chest. "But what if I'm not good enough?" The old man turned to him, his gaze piercing yet kind. "Listen, son, the only person who decides your worth is you. The world will doubt you, test you, and push you down. But it's up to you to stand up, again and again. Success isn't just about talent or luck. It's about perseverance. You don't fail when you fall. You fail when you refuse to get back up." Ravi absorbed the words in silence, the weight on his shoulders feeling a little lighter. The park around him seemed alive again, the rustling leaves, the distant laughter, the cool evening breeze. The old man stood up, gripping his walking stick. "Remember, every rejection is one step closer to the yes you're waiting for. Don't give up and don't stop learning." "Thank you, sir," Ravi said, standing as well. "I don't know your name, but I'll never forget this." The old man smiled, patting Ravi's shoulder. "You'll be fine, son. Just keep fighting." As the man walked away, Ravi sat back down on the bench, his heart a little steadier. He pulled out his notebook and jotted down a list of the things he could improve. He made a plan to sharpen his skills, revisit his resume, and try again, this time with renewed determination. The next morning, Ravi woke up with a purpose he hadn't felt in months. It wasn't going to be easy, but he was ready to face the world. Somewhere deep inside, he knew this bench, this moment, and that wise old man had given him something invaluable. Hope. And for the first time in months, Ravi smiled. Morale. Failure isn't the end.